Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's Spotlight series. My name is Marilyn Lau, and I am with the Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement team. And so today we are joined by Dr. Majid Dessouky, who is the professor and also the academic department chair for our Industrial and Systems Engineering programs. So thank you so much, Professor Dessouky, for joining us for today's session.
Thank you.
So some quick facts. You guys will be receiving a copy of today's presentation deck. We do ask to allow between maybe 1 to 3 business days for it to be sent out. And for those of you who are watching this as a recording afterwards, please do note that the content that we are discussing is of October 16th, 2025. So we do encourage you to always head over to our website to look at what is the most updated admissions requirement, as well as the academic curriculum information as well. So in terms of questions, we do highly encourage you to ask any questions that you might have, and you can do so by popping it in the chat box at the bottom. And there is going to be a Q&A session at the end for Professor Dessouky. And then if you have questions about the applications or admissions process, I can go ahead and answer those questions for you as well. So today's agenda, I will be giving a quick introduction about University of Southern California for those of you who are not familiar with our academic institution. And then I'll talk specifically about Viterbi School of Engineering. And then I'll go ahead and introduce Professor Dessouky, and then he'll be able to take you guys through the academic disciplines that are offered within the Industrial Systems Engineering department. And then we'll go ahead and, talk about the application criteria as well. And then I will talk about Viterbi, which is our online delivery method, how it works, the flexibility of it, especially for those of you, who are working professionals or who are based outside of Los Angeles area. And then I'll talk about, what are the tuition rates and also what are some of the funding that we have available, especially for our online Viterbi students. And then again, we will go ahead and wrap it up with a Q&A. So this slide here is just some images of our campus for those of you who are not, who haven't been to our campus before. We are located in Los Angeles, around a 20-minute drive from downtown LA, and we do have a very, very beautiful campus. And the beauty as well is our online Viterbi students do have a physical seat in every class that they enroll in. So you do have the opportunity to attend lectures on campus. So a little bit of history about USC. So we are the oldest private university in the Western United States. We're founded back in 1880. We do have over 23 academic schools and divisions and over 26,000 graduate students. We have over 450,000 alumni that are located globally and over 4,700 full-time faculty members, and our student population is extremely diverse. So a little bit now about our School of Engineering. So Viterbi School, we have over 6,600 graduate students. We offer 65 master's program, and 40 of them are offered online through Viterbi. We have 38 research centers, over 210 full-time tenure-track faculty. Our school was established in 1905, and we have over 104,000 Viterbi alumni globally. Within Viterbi School, we have 8 academic departments. We have Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering, Astronautical Engineering, Biomedical Engineering, Chemical Engineering, Material Science, Civil and Environmental Engineering, Computer Science and Data Science, Electrical and Computer Engineering, and Industrial Systems Engineering, which you guys will listen more and get more information in today's spotlight session. So without further ado, you guys all joined not to hear me speak, but to hear more from Professor Majid Dessouky. So Dr. Majid Dessouky is the Dean's Professor of Industrial and Systems Engineering, and he's also the Professor of Industrial and Systems Engineering and Spatial Sciences Institute. He obtained his bachelor's and master's in industrial engineering from Purdue University, and he also has his PhD in industrial engineering from UC Berkeley. He is a fellow of the Institute of Industrial Engineers and Institute of Operations Research and Management Sciences, and is also the recipient of IIE Operations Research Division Excellence in Teaching Award. So very warm welcome, Dr. Dessouky.
Thank you very much, and I'm pleased to be here, and I'm glad that you're able to take your time to hear about our various programs. As you noticed, our department's actually called the Daniel J. Epstein Department of Industrial and System Engineering, and that's very important because it means that we are an endowed department, and that endowed department gives us capabilities and resources that other departments don't have. In fact, we were the first endowed department in the Viterbi School of Engineering. In fact, we were endowed before the school was endowed. In terms of the profession, the IC profession, we're the second named IC department in the country. Penn State beat us by maybe a month or two, but it's not really just being endowed, it's the amount of endowment and where that those funds go. And I'll talk a little bit about how we use the endowment to support the students and the faculty. We're a top 10 ranked department. We have a number of tenure track departments. We've been growing consistently. The latest gift we have allows us to continue growing the faculty from 22 to 26. So the faculty has seen tremendous growth in the last 10 years, and it's going to continue growing in the next 4 years. We also have faculty just dedicated to teaching. So the tenure track faculty do both research and teaching, and we have faculty who are just dedicated to do teaching. In fact, our program director for our different master's programs are full-time teachers. They dedicate themselves to lead the master's programs and teach. We also have research faculty who just do faculty. And then we have faculty who have joint appointments across different units, from the business school to the planning department to we have computer scientists who have joint appointments at departments and various positions. As I mentioned, and I'll quickly, briefly go over this because it's rather important, and I didn't add a slide on it, is that we're actually moving to a new facility. The computer science department just moved into their, that's where part of our endowment and gift giving has allowed us to, when the computer science moves to the new facility, well, they've already moved to the new facility in Ginsburg Hall. They're currently, if you even came to campus and took a tour, you'll see that the building that we're moving to is under construction. They're completely updating and modernizing it. The first floor is going to be a student-centric floor with the lounges, meeting rooms, and so on. And the plan is that we will be moving in January 2027, so in a year and a half. So if you join us in the fall, we'll be the following semester, we'll be moving into a rent. It won't be a new building, it's a remodeled older building. In some sense, those are nicer buildings because you have the space of the older buildings, but with the modern comforts of the most latest technologies. So next slide, please. Okay, can you move to, I can't control, can we move to, is this it? Yeah, okay. No, sorry, previous, I didn't see. So we have an undergraduate program which has 200 students. I know most of you are interested in our master's program, so I won't really talk about our undergraduate program, but I will just only briefly mention that the IE profession, the industrial engineering profession, really is a very broad profession. There are specializations that you do that are very mathematical, and there are specializations that rely a lot on your qualitative skills. And there's in the middle, you have, I would say, what I'd call the more applied areas like supply chain and transportation that our profession places a lot of our students in. And in those domains, you basically have students who need to learn both the very quantitative skill sets and also the qualitative skill sets. So an undergraduate, let's say our undergraduate degree covers and educates students from the very quantitative to the applied to the qualitative skill sets. So our undergraduate degree will cover those entire spectrum. Now, when you go to the master's degree, we have a number of master's degree, and they will. So if you see the master's and industrial systems degree, that's going to follow very much like the undergraduate degree, and that is it's going to have a mix of quantitative and qualitative and applied courses that are in supply chain and and and, and production, because a lot of our students in the ISC degree go along to those degrees. So you could think of the master's and ISC degree basically that undergraduate degree, which is very broad, but taught at a more advanced level, but it's still broad. Then you have the analytics degree, which is a very quantitative degree based on data analysis and decision making. Then you have one of the more, I would say, qualitative degrees, which is our master's in engineering management. And then we have three other degrees. The ORE degree, which is probably the most quantitative degree, which is, so I'll differentiate it between the analytics degree later when we get closer, but it's also quantitative like the analytics degree, but I would say the emphasis there is more on modeling as opposed to data analysis in the analytics degree. Then you have the PDE, which is if you're interested in product management, the product development engineer is really the degree for you. And then we have a very specialized degree for the healthcare industry. And this is basically very similar in spirit to the ISC degree, but it's very focused on all the applications that we teach in the classroom. And this is all going to be geared towards the healthcare degree. And the industry really is in need of these students. And for every student we graduate, there's maybe 4 or 5 openings for students. And this is a very easy degree to place students in. And then we have 60 PhD students. So as I mentioned, we are well endowed, and we have a lot of centers that are funded by a number of different agencies. We have the MedTrans Transportation Center, which is I'm part of, and that's more focused on transportation and logistics in urban centers. Because in the urban centers, what makes it unique is you have both freight and passenger traffic, and we do models that basically focuses on efficiency and congestion reduction. Then we have the CREATE Center, which is funded by the federal government, which is Center for Risk and Economic Analysis. I think the title has changed since then. It's more focused on, I think, basic emergency preparedness, not just on terrorism events. And then we have a center that's funded by a gift from Meta, which focuses on research and education and AI learning. We have another center that's focused on Capital One, which is for really AI decision making in the finance sector. And then we have a center focused on the manufacturing, and then the last one does an AI in society. So all these centers, we have faculty who have key leadership positions in. Thank you. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, here are the degrees, and as you could see, in every one of these degree programs, there's like a computer screen, which means that's on DEN. You could take it on DEN, and that will be described to you later what DEN is and how to next. But basically, all our degrees, except for the health systems certificate program, can be offered on DEN. And so the first degree I'm going to focus on is the MS in Analytics. So this is, I would say, our largest master's program. And the big differentiation between the MS in Analytics and, let's say, a data science degree is that we are focused on both, not just on the predictive and statistical analysis on it, we're also focused on decision making. And so building models to make decisions. So it's not just the predictive part, but it's also in what's called decision analytics, because the IC profession really is a profession that you build a model to answer a question. So that's why one of the differentiations in our program that most, let's say, data science programs, you wouldn't be required to take an optimization course. You wouldn't have all these courses on decision analysis and simulation and other techniques, which are really focusing on the next step. Not only do we need models to do the prediction, which is very important, right? So once you've made it, you can make predictions. How do you use these predictions to make decisions? And that's really one of the big differentiations, I would say, between a master's in data science versus analytics. So I will say our current program, which is this, but we're in the process of making some minor tweaks, and I'll talk about the minor tweaks, but hasn't been approved yet, but we're pretty confident that it will be approved. But the current structure is a 28-unit degree, and you have 3 required courses, which we think are really the 3 core areas of any program. One is the prediction analysis. One is the optimization to help you make decision making. And then data, managing data. If you don't know, I would say a number of students say the differentiator between them getting the job and not is their knowledge of how to manage data. And so therefore we make it kind of a required course. And then the group A elective, the main thing about that is like, those are project courses. So those are basic courses to say, okay, what have you learned in these tools, and do a project. Now, simulation is both a tool-based course and a project-based course, so that's why it can be taken in each. And then we have a number of tool-based courses. We have a cloud analytics course, text analytics course, and we just created a new course on generative AI, which is very popular and adds another dimension to this program. And so yeah. So one final comment on this degree is that this new program also is going to, well, not the new program, but the changes in the curriculum also will focus a lot. A significant emphasis will be on computation. So we'll make sure that the same computational tools that you're learning are used from one course to another, and they build on each other. So that way, when you graduate, you'll be very comfortable using the latest tools like PyTorch and Python and so on. Next slide, thank you. Now, the other end of the spectrum, as I mentioned, the most qualitative is, I would say, the engineering management degree, the MS engineering management degree. And this is our second most popular degree. So in some sense, the two extremes and the quantitative, the qualitative spectrums tend to be the most popular in our curriculum. Again, this is also going to be minorly tweaked, but it's going to have same spirit. We believe that any engineering manager should know something about statistics. And that's why we would put it. Project management is something that's a toolbox that must be needed. And since you're going to be managing engineering teams, a course on that is very important. And finally, there is no decision that you make as an engineering manager that does not have an economic impact. And you can't economically justify your project, you're probably not going to get it funded. And so we make sure that our students graduate know how to do that, make an economic justifications for the engineering projects they want to get funded. And so those are the required courses. Again, all our master's degrees are 28 units. And we also have a required course, not a pick list technology required courses. And most of these courses focus on how you integrate technology in your workplace. And I think that's very important. And there's different courses that do that. And these tend to be very popular. And then you have 8 approved units of classes. And then you could specialize these either in operations, or you may specialize them in analytics, or you could take more technology courses or management courses. That's really up to you. They're really your free electives, and we give you guidance. If you come to us and say, I want to focus on operations, we'll give you the 2 courses that you should suggest to take in those areas, and so on. And some of our students in this degree do take courses at Marshall, and they don't have problems taking those courses. Next, please. Now, this is the one that I would call in the middle, right? So the ISC degree is basically the broad degree that you get from the undergraduate degree. And I would say a majority of these students go into the supply chain logistics industry. And that's why 2 of the required courses are in that area. And then the third one is going to be on the project management. And then as you could see, we have then groups of courses that you take on one in each one, which is focuses either on the qualitative or quantitative sector. So you have group A electives, which is the quantitative, which is going to be either optimization or stochastics or simulation, and you must take one of these. And then IE is all about quality and operations, and we have a course that requires you to take at least one quality-based course. And then again, as I mentioned, the group C is we make sure that you take one course on the qualitative segment. So you take basically the 3 core courses, and then you take one course in a quantitative area, qualitative area, and then on the qualitative area. And then you'll have one free elective to pick from all the above. So, as I said, we have one course program which really focuses on just the healthcare field, just the healthcare field. And basically, it's really very similar in spirit to the IC degree. But if you can see the name of all the courses, they have health in there because these courses all are geared towards health. So all the applications, like the healthcare operations improvement, it's really talks about when it talks about logistics and supply chain, it's going to talk about it using healthcare examples. And it's in there, they'll talk about process improvement, they'll use healthcare examples. And this is going to be true in the quality course. We noticed that in the IAC degree, there's a quality generic, not generic, but it's a general quality course. In this one, it's going to be a quality course, but just focus on healthcare operations. So if you're really interested in working in the healthcare sector, this is the degree for you because you'll come out not only knowing methodologies, ISC methodologies, you'll come out being familiar and working with a lot of this degree really focuses on developing practicum in the healthcare industry. You'll get a lot of opportunities to work on projects geared to the healthcare sector. So when you go out, you'll be familiar with not just the techniques, you'll also be very familiar with the domain of healthcare. And that's why it's called Health Systems Management Engineering. Next one, please. Okay, so the OR degree, the main differentiation, I would say, from the OR degree and the data analytics degree. So not the data analytics degree, just the analytics degree. The analytics degree is focused on using data to make decisions. So it's going to be a lot more focused on data analysis and data modeling. But you also have some, because it's analytics, not just data science, it's also going to focus on some model building to make decisions. So it's going to straddle it. This degree is strictly just less emphasis on data analysis and much more on model building. As you see in the required courses, they're much more OR focused, which are basically OR models, which use stochastics, simulation, LP, networks. So it's a much more modeling course of quantitative techniques, whereas the analytics has a much more bend on using data. And that's the main differentiation between the two. And then the last program we have is a product development engineering program. And I'm not going to really focus on the technology specialization because these are usually postcodes where you will go get. So this degree program has two specialization: technology, which is managed by the AME department, the Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering department, and the management specialization track, which is managed by us. And I would say this degree is very attractive to students who are interested in product management. And especially with this integration with not Den, I meant with the integration with design. So this is really where most of the students, and there's a lot of global aspect to this. If you look at so if you look at the two required courses, design is one big component of it, and so is innovation and product management, and that's what really 445 is.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dessouky, for taking us through the different master's programs that we offer. So I will go ahead and go through the application and enrollment options as well. So for the master's requirements, for the programs that for all of our graduate programs, it does require an undergraduate degree in engineering, mathematics, computer science, or a related hard science field. So basically anything that's like a bachelor of science with a strong mathematic background. And then for those of you who are interested in submitting your application for spring 2026, we do have an application extension available for online Dan Viterbi students. And I will talk about this in the upcoming slide when we touch upon the deadline dates. Do note that the application fee for spring 2026 is $90. And for those of you interested in fall 2026 or even spring 2027, whether you're an on-campus or online Den student, the application fee will be $105. So for all of our graduate programs, you do need to submit official transcripts as part of your application, as well as a resume and a personal statement. And for the letter of recommendations, we do encourage you to check on our program page specifically, especially for the ones within the industrial systems engineering department, to see whether or not letter recommendations would be required. And you can actually check that by clicking on the link on the slide, which takes you to our Viterbi grad admission website, and you can navigate to your specific program of interest. Also, a good news is that the GRE is not required for 2026 Viterbi master's applications. So for the application deadline dates, so as mentioned, for spring 2026, we are offering an application extension for online DEN at Viterbi students. So if you do not require student visa sponsorship, such as an F1 or I-20, and you are interested in our online delivery method, we have extended the application deadline to November 14th. And for those of you who are interested in fall 2026, and the final deadline date is on January 15th, so you do still have some time. However, if you are if you're interested in on-campus delivery method and you are wondering about scholarship, the scholarship deadline is actually December 15th. Once again, there is an asterisk indicated for the application deadline date for fall 2026 as well for online DEN of Viterbi students. So I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the different delivery modalities that we have. So we have on campus as well as online through DEN of Viterbi. So on campus usually means students are pursuing their graduate program on a full-time basis. So they're usually taking, let's say, 3 classes per semester. So on average, they can usually complete and graduate between 1.5 to 2 years. And then we have our online delivery method, DEN of Viterbi. Usually, our DEN students are studying part-time typically because they tend to be working professionals. However, we do see some DEN students who do pursue their degree on a full-time basis as well. If you are working full-time, most DEN students tend to take 1 to 2 classes per semester, and on average, they can complete their degree between 2.5 to 3 years. So how does our online delivery method DEN of Viterbi work? So USC has been doing distance education learning since 1972, so we do have over 50 years of experience within the distance education arena. And as of today, it is our school's in-house state-of-the-art proprietary web-based delivery system, and it allows our students from all over the world to access classes in 2 ways. So you could watch it live by streaming in, or you could watch it on demand afterwards on your own time. Then students do also have a physical seat in every class that they are enrolled in. So what that means is, if you live and work near the LA area and you wonder, I want to go and attend some lectures in person, am I able to do so? The answer is yes. However, it's not, and it's not a requirement for you to ever, come and attend lectures in person. Then students will still view the same lectures as on-campus student, and the content is fresh every semester. You will submit homework electronically, and you will also be able to participate still in highly interactive discussions with your professors as well as your peers. You will also take exams at a proctored testing center located either near your home or your work. However, if you are residing in the LA, Orange, or Ventura counties, you would be required to take your exams at USC's campus. So this slide here kind of gives you a quick comparison because you might be wondering, what is the main differences between being an online DEN student and an on-campus student? So you can see the program admission requirements is the same. You still need to submit a graduate application and the required materials. Weekly course lectures is online with interactivity for DEN students, whereas on-campus students will be attending lectures at USC's campus. Online course archives, so DEN of Viterbi students do have access to this. On-campus students will only have access to this if they are enrolled in a DEN class. Assignments will be submitted electronically according to the same course deadline dates as on-campus student. The exams will be at a proctor location for DEN of Viterbi students. Courses per semester, as I mentioned, is kind of where it varies a little bit because most of our online students are working professionals, and they take 1 to 2 classes. And as you can see, the degree completion requirements are the same. So, for the ISE, for the programs that are offered within the Industrial Systems and Engineering department, you saw that they are 28 units. And so you do also need to maintain at least a 3.0 GPA or above. So ultimately, when you do complete your degree, your diploma is not going to have a distinction on there that you are an online student or a on-campus student. So it is still the same degree earned. It is just the delivery modality is different. Some additional information about Den of Viterbi. So we do have a secondary enrollment option through Den, which is called limited status. So this is a way for strong candidates who have a strong academic background to begin taking classes before submitting an application for formal admission. So there are some eligibility requirements. You do need to have at least a cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0. And you do also need to have a undergraduate degree in engineering, math, or a hard science. You can also take a maximum of 12 units as a limited status student, and it can be applied towards a degree program if admitted. So if you are interested in, let's say, industrial systems engineering master's program, and you want to get started as soon as possible for spring 2026, but you don't have enough time to put together an application for formal admission, and you do meet the eligibility requirements of being a limited status student, you can actually enroll in a ISE course, a ISE required course in spring 2026, for example, while you're working on submitting your application. So let's say you are then admitted into the following term for the master's program. The classes that you took as a limited status student can then be applied towards that specific program itself, that master's program, upon departmental approval. And it's also important to just note that, being a limited status student doesn't guarantee you formal admissions, and you do still need to submit an application. And for those of you who may be reimbursed by your employer, we do offer the Employer Reimbursement Deferment Program. So once again, this is for students who are supported by a company. You can actually defer your payment of up to 90% of tuition until after the semester is over. The program eligibility is that your employer does have to reimburse you for tuition at the end of each term, and your student account also has to be current. The program participation requirements by you, the student, that you will need to handle before the settlement deadline of each term is to complete and submit your deferment application, pay 10% of tuition, 100% of all fees, and a $100 application fee. And you would also need to sign and submit your promissory note packet and send it to the USC Student Financial Services team. So this is our current per unit tuition rates. So it kind of gives you an idea of how much a 3-unit course and a 4-unit course will cost. So how the tuition fees works is every semester you will pay the amount of tuition for how many units you are enrolled in. So if you are enrolled in one class that is 4 units, this gives you an example of how much it will cost at this current academic year. The tuition and fees are the same for both online and on-campus student, and it is also subject to change without notice as well. So we always recommend for you to visit our website for the most updated tuition rates for the current academic year, or for the academic year that you will be submitting an application for. So with that said, we do have some scholarship available. We have our Den of Viterbi scholarship for our online Den of Viterbi students. This scholarship is merit-based, and it is awarded to outstanding students who are pursuing a master's program fully online through Den of Viterbi. The scholarship details is, first and foremost, it's partial scholarship. It's not full, and if you are awarded, you can receive between 1 to 4 units of tuition. You must be pursuing a Viterbi master's program fully online and receive partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from your employer. The funding provided will be awarded within the academic year, and applicants can reapply each academic year for a future scholarship consideration. To be eligible for the scholarship, you do need to be either a newly admitted student or have an application on file. And you must have an undergraduate degree with a minimum cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. The spring 2026 scholarship deadline is Friday, November 14th. And the fall 2026 deadline date will be posted on the website after the spring deadline has passed. So for those of you who are interested in spring 2026, you can head over to the scholarship website at the link below, and you can actually find the application form itself within that page. And then for those of you who are active duty military or veteran, we do have some funding and scholarships available as well. So for those of you who are active duty military, we have the USC Viterbi Active Duty Military Scholarship. So this is a partial scholarship ranging from $5,000 to $20,000 of tuition for US active duty military of all military branches. And you can be pursuing either a master's or a graduate certificate program, and it could be online or on USC's campus. And also, you would receive partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from the military or your current employer. The spring 2026 scholarship deadline is also on Friday, November 14th. And similarly, the fall 2026 deadline date will be posted on the website after the spring date has passed. And then we have yellow ribbon funding. So USC Viterbi does offer an unlimited number of yellow ribbon awards to eligible veteran candidates. The VA will also match the amount provided by USC as well. And then we have the USC Show Family Scholarship for Veterans. And so this is eligible for Viterbi incoming and continuing graduate students. You must be admitted and enrolled immediately in courses on a full-time basis, which is a minimum of 8 units. For more information about benefits for active duty military veterans, we do encourage you to head over to our website at the link below as well. So how to get started? So for those of you who are interested in, taking the next step in submitting your application, whether it's for on-campus or for the online DEN delivery modality, this page here can really help you to navigate with your next step. So as you can see, there is a link on here that does take you to the application portal. And for those of you who are interested in DEN of Viterbi, and you are interested in getting started as a limited status student for spring 2026 by enrolling in a class, there is no application that you need to complete. All you need to do is complete the DEN of Viterbi limited status request form, and you can head over there and do so by clicking on the link below. Okay, so I'm going to allow some time for people to pop in any questions that they might have for Professor Dessouky, or if you have any questions about the application process. Okay, I don't see any questions that have come through here, but I do have a question for you, Dr. Dessouky, because we do get this question quite often, especially from prospective DEN of Viterbi students. Are there any research opportunities that they can participate in as a DEN student?
As a DEN student or even on campus, it's definitely possible. So I was mentioning, obviously, faculty have research grants; they can hire you. But one of the nice things that Seb mentioned is that we have an endowment and we have gifts, and we've dedicated gift accounts for undergraduate and master students to be involved in research projects. So the faculty don't have to use it from their own research accounts. If you take a class with a faculty member and you want to do a research project with someone, you can put in a proposal. That's a really short proposal to say you want to do a research and we do this evaluation every semester, as long as the key is you have an endorsement of a faculty member. And we've had, projects ranging from data analysis to human factor studies of systems, just a broad spectrum. But the key is to find a faculty member that's willing to supervise you on a research project, and department then will give you the student a small stipend to do the research.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I did see someone that had a question. I don't think they popped it in though. So, Bernard, I see that you have, okay, here we go. So the question is, oh, hold on. I just saw it come through. Hold on. Um, what does the department mean by thesis option is not guaranteed?
Oh, it simply means that the key to have a thesis option is that you have to have faculty members that want to supervise your master's thesis, right? And so if you can find a faculty member to supervise your master's thesis, then certainly we will do it. But that's the only part that's not guaranteed, is that you have to find an advisor. And you have, so we have 22 faculty members and tenure track and other in teaching. So we have well over 30 faculty. You should be able to find a faculty member that's willing to supervise your thesis. So that's not really much, but we just put the qualifier because it's not guaranteed if you can't find a faculty member that's willing to supervise your thesis topic.
Mm, Thank you for that. And so another question that came through, which we do get a lot as well, is what is the difference between a engineering management versus an MBA?
Uh,
And is it comparable to an MBA?
well, it is only for certain part. Remember, MBA is 60
Mhm,
units and an engineering manager is only 30 units, 28 units.
mhm,
It used to be 30 units. But the main thing is, okay, so an MBA is a very broad degree. It's going to focus on marketing courses, which our students will not take. They'll have maybe some entrepreneurship courses that you have to take. So, and maybe finance courses, and they have multiple courses in this. The part that's going to be very similar is going to be the operations courses will be very similar. Some of the organizational management courses will be very similar. Um, so it will be covered parts of it. And very similar to MBA, a lot of engineering managers actually end up going to consulting also, as similar to MBA. So, and another big differentiation is your cohorts. The undergraduate, the engineering management students, about 95% come from, I would say, almost 100 from some kind of STEM degree as an undergraduate, right? So either there's a science, technology, engineering degree, whereas in MBA, students come from all sorts of backgrounds, in English majors and so on. So that
mhm,
changes the nature of the class itself in terms of your cohorts in your classroom.
mhm. Thank you for answering that, Dr. Dessouky, and sharing the differences between both of those programs. So one question that came through is, so I recently completed my MS in operational research,
Mhm,
um, and I'm very interested in transportation research.
mhm.
I was wondering if this is the right place to ask about PhD opportunities related to transportation research.
Well, as I said, we have the Metrans Transportation Center, which is the joint transportation center between the Viterbi School and the Price School. And so obviously my participation is from the engineering side. So we have a number of faculty who do transportation research, in particular myself, and I'm not just the only one. We have faculty in civil engineering, faculty in electrical engineering, and we also have faculty, about three to four faculty in our own department to do transportation research. And it's a wide spectrum of topics that we do in transportation. We do urban mobility. How do we design systems which can move people more efficiently in urban areas? And we do a lot of work in logistics also.
Thank you so much, Professor. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, hold on. That's interesting. I'm not seeing some of these other questions that are coming through. Oh, here we go. It's in Q&A. Okay. Okay, so, oh, there's a lot. Okay, sorry, I missed out on those. Okay, so what are you primarily looking for in a master's level applicant for your programs, Dr. Um,
Okay.
Dr. Dessouky? I mean, that's pretty broad. I guess it also depends
Right,
on what the
right,
specific
right.
program is.
That depends on what the specific program is.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, first and foremost is your undergraduate education, how well you did there. I mean, that's
Hmm.
nothing substitutes for that. And then just your interest in what you want to do with your education, I would say, is the other things. You make a good case that that what you're going to get out is something that's going to benefit your career. But I would say I would say your undergraduate background, and then also what you want to get out of your degree and what you hope to accomplish, and that we make sure there's a match between what you want to get and what we can educate you with.
Hmm. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Dessouky. Okay, so another question is, I if I'm interested in potentially using ISE courses like ISE 635, 638 as electives in another program, such as biomedical engineering,
Hmm?
what would the approval process be for enrolling within the ISE department? And
So,
they said, thank you, Dr. Dessouky, for your time.
okay, so if you're enrolled, so there's two things. One is getting for it to count in your degree, and another thing in terms of being able to enroll in the class. So those are courses we offer. So students, there's an enrollment process where you request from, if you're outside the department, you want to take one of our courses, there's a process, and it's pretty straightforward. If you're an engineering student, we tend to give you priority to take our courses. So if you're outside, if you let's say you're in the biomedical field and you want to take our courses, you just come and see one of our staff members and ask for the permission, not permission, but the official word we don't use the word permission, declearance for the course, and we give it to you. But now for it to count to your degree program, that's something that's going to be between you and your advisor in that degree program. We don't make decisions on whether our course can satisfy a degree requirement and another degree. We only make decisions about whether this course can satisfy degree requirements for our degrees. So if they need so if they need information from us to help you make that case, we'll be more than happy to provide that information to you so you can help make that case. So you'd register with us, you get the declearance from us. But in terms of getting it to count in that other degree, that's something those advisors in that department would be able to answer.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's very correct. Thank you, Dr. Suki. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Yeah, so for the individual who asked about funding opportunities for non-Dent students and veterans, I did reply back to you with the link on our website. So you can head over there and have a look. For a veteran, there's also, the GI Bill benefits, and of course that show and family scholarship that I talked about as well. Okay, oh, there's another one that came in through the chat. Hold on, let me open this. Okay. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, they said thank you. Okay, well, another one that came in. Okay, so there is the dual MS in ISC and MBA on your website. Is that a possibility?
Yes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Yeah. So that one is only offered on campus
That's fine.
as well. Yeah. So that's unfortunately not available through DEN.
And that's mostly because of the Marshall School
Yeah.
offers their MBA.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yeah.
this so our Marshall School offers multiple MBAs. They have the
Mm-hmm.
executive MBA, but the different ones. The one that we partner with them is with the full-time in-person one. That's the main reason why.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Disuki. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I don't see any questions that came through. Very good questions. Thank you, everyone, for your brilliant questions for Professor Dasuki and I. Okay, so perfect. Yes, so I don't see any additional questions that have come through. So before we wrap up, I want to see, Dr. Dasuki, are there any kind of, tips or any final words that you have for everyone
Right.
before we wrap up today's session?
Yeah. So the key thing I think when you decide to apply to a master's program is does the program really prepare you for the career you want? And you got to look at just not just the courses, but the students who are attending and where they're graduating and getting jobs. I didn't put the slide. I didn't put the slide deck in here that typically talks a lot about where our students go, but our students actually get jobs, as I mentioned, in consulting, in the entertainment sector, manufacturing. We have students in the finance sector. We have students almost everywhere that get jobs in the different industries, and they tend to be. Another thing that's very important is when you think about, even though it's a national, we go everywhere, but a lot of our students do stay in California. So if you're interested in living in California, a California university tends to give you the advice. If you're interested in living in the East Coast, then the East Coast University gets advice. But the last thing, and I think the most important one, is so we offer a number of master's degrees. And so let's say you're interested in either this one or this one, but you're really not quite sure. Apply to one. It doesn't switching between the degrees in our program is just going in there and asking an advisor, I want to switch, and they will switch you. I mean, we can't we don't manage, we can't say that about other degrees that are offered in other departments because each department kind of has the say on which students get admitted. But so I went through all these master's degrees and certainly apply to the one that you find closer to match yourself. But let's say you're not sure if it's the OR degree or the LS degree is the one you want. Don't sweat it. Transferring between these degrees is not that difficult. And the degrees are flexible enough that if you took one course in one of the other degrees, you could use that one course as an elective on another one, and it's not going to delay your graduation. So don't obviously pick the one that if you already know what you want, then go for it. But if you're still debating, don't. There's no reason for paralysis.
Mhm. Good tip. Good tip. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dessouky. So there is one more question that came in for you.
Okay.
Is there TA or RA opportunities for MS students?
So PhD students cannot be RATAs, but we have MS students who help in the classroom, but they're called course producers. So we have opportunities for master students to be involved in research through, I mentioned, the gift account, which we do fund some master students with a stipend um, for that. And then we also have master students help with the courses, and they're called course producers.
Mhm. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, perfect. We've gone through all the questions. So thank you everyone who is joining us and for taking the time in logging in and participating in today's spotlight session. And once again, a huge, huge thank you to Dr. Dessouky for taking us through, the programs within the Industrial Systems Engineering Department, especially the ones that are offered through Dana Viterbi. Take care, stay safe, and as we say at USC, fight on.
Thank you. Everybody have a nice night and go Dodgers.
Have a good evening. Yes, go
Okay, bye-bye.
Dodgers. Go watch the game.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye.